So special.
What's going on, guys? It's Chris with Regular Guy Training. Listen, so here's the thing. The ATF is getting absolutely fucking ridiculous here. And per what they're trying to do, pretty much anybody that's got an 80% or of any kind, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to come after individuals that are trying to put together their own stuff, as far as firearms and everything else, which is absolute nonsense because Americans have been putting together their own firearms just since before the history of the nation actually existed. Like, before America actually existed, people have been doing that, right? That's number one. Number two, they're trying to do their very best to make things as vague as possible so that under the new definitions that they want to create for what is considered a firearm, what is to be marked as a firearm, you know, what is to be serialized and everything else. I mean, per their own extremely vague definitions, you know, you could consider like a Glock slide that of any variety, or an AR upper receiver of any variety, right? And they're also coming after definition structures and that kind of stuff for suppressors, which could absolutely affect tons of people. I mean, tons of people. And thinking about the math behind this and thinking about how fast I would criminalize a lot of individuals, that really needs to be thought of very, very carefully, right? So, I actually learned of this from a video from Mr. Guns and Gear. Greater detail can be found through his video on this. It just released, like, I'm looking at like 3 hours ago. It'll probably be like 4 hours by the time that this hits, you know, my audience and that kind of thing. So 110% you need to take action on this, like right now. Okay. He suggests getting into the comments section on the ATF website and leaving a professional comment and then doing something very similar for your congressman. This needs to happen. Okay, this needs to happen. It needs to happen quickly. There are 3 different ways that you can leave comments to the ATF. You know, email, snail mail, and fax, I believe. And I believe, honestly, that all 3 of those methods need to be taken. Because here's the thing, right? Getting overwhelmed by millions and millions of comments on how absolutely illegal this is, according to the Constitution of the United States, it needs to go down. It needs to go down, and they need to get pilfered by this kind of stuff, because it's absolutely important to the structure of the Second Amendment that we don't allow people like this to just magically make laws out of nowhere. Okay? To remind them that they are not a lawmaking agency. Okay, because they try to act like a rogue agency and they don't follow their own guidelines or their own rules, much less any new ones that they try to create. They do their very best to try and criminalize people, and they try to act very much like the IRS, to where if they want to come after you, they just will. No, that's not how this works, and that's not how it's gonna work. And you, as an American citizen, need to do your part to make sure that that's carried out. Now, here's the thing. For those of you that say, oh, there's nothing we can do and everything else, okay? Mike handled this very professionally by citing several examples where the ATF getting overwhelmed with comments on like M855 and, you know, various other things led to those things not being banned or being used to criminalize tons of gun owners, right? He took a very professional route. I'm going to take a less professional route, because what he had to say, I'm not going to step on. You need to go watch his video and listen to what he said. What I'm going to say is this. I am sick and tired. I am absolutely sick and tired of motherfuckers constantly trying to sit there and say, oh, there's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could ever do. Blah, blah, blah. All that really says to me and to others is that you have not gotten off of your ass and done a goddamn thing about our rights ever. Because you talk a ton of crap, you talk a big game, and you don't actually go out and do this stuff. You don't show up to those rallies. You don't show up to those to the state meetings revolving around your government. You don't vote for government officials. You don't vote for people that actually influence the Electoral College and all of that crap, right? And people will look toward the last presidential election, okay? To understand how loud that election was really screwed with, and to understand exactly how hard and how fast that the Democrat Party has absolutely fucked themselves and how much worse it's getting by the day, because everyday Americans are just kind of like, that's, no, is to really do an enormous disservice to citizens that are actually doing their job as citizens. To say that we don't have any power at all as citizens of the United States is doing a tremendous disservice to all citizens that are actually doing their job as citizens, and for those that defend those rights. Okay? Because if we had no power as individual citizens, okay, the first assault weapons ban would not have been repealed and then kept away. Okay? The second attempt in 2012/2013 would absolutely have gone through. Because they had the House, the Senate, and tons of sympathy as far as mass media pushing is concerned. But that didn't happen. Further attempts to do enormously damaging things to the Constitution of the United States were attempted after that during Obama's tenure. And everyday American citizens stopped that. Further attempts post that were made. And every once in a while, you have some spineless assholes that allow it to go through. For instance, 7N6 got torpedoed because people didn't get off their ass and be all like, and didn't consider the fact that just because you don't shoot a 74 doesn't mean that it doesn't absolutely hurt Americans. Okay? You people that are constantly saying that we don't have the power to change things are gutless. You're gutless, and because you are not doing everything in your power to make sure that we handle things with a pen is gutless. Okay? And sitting there bitching about it and calling for way worse things than us handling things in a lawful manner through our own Constitution is cowardly too. Stop with this nonsense. Do your job as citizens and do everything in your power to make sure that we handle stupid crap like this with a pen. Okay? Train for everything else, for sure. But in order to preserve the America that we actually need to preserve, this has to be handled administratively, swiftly. Okay? It has to be handled swiftly. Because it's easy to talk a ton of crap and then completely ignore how absolutely huge the gun industry has gotten off of regular, everyday citizens that are doing their job as citizens. Voting for things like constitutional carry. And the number of states for that is growing. Ensuring that the concealed carry public at large grows 50 times. Ensuring that every battle that needs to get fought is fought, as exhausting as it is. Your freedoms, your nation, your Constitution are never, ever, ever earned through sitting on your ass. So stop inventing excuses and start inventing solutions that don't result in the absolute destruction of the nation. Because let's just lay it out here. If you're going to sit there and talk about civil war and be motivated to go into a civil war, you have no idea at all what that would absolutely destroy. And I, for one, as somebody that's busted my ass for 2A and for our Constitution, want to see it preserved. Do your job as a citizen. I'm going to pin a link to Mike's video in the comments section. I urge you to watch that, get a really good grasp and a really good understanding of what it is that he had to say, get his take on it, and go from there. Stop being an annoying bastard and just do your job, for those of you that want to sit there and whine and cry in the comment sections. You're not doing anything but bitching. Remember, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Do everything else that you can to prevent that.